Let's go, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new year. And we are back with our first episode of the LA Poker Roundup. It's January 7th, or 8th, actually. We were going to do this yesterday, but Derek had someplace to be. It's January 8th, 2025, and this is episode 67 of the LA Poker Roundup. And we are happy to be back. I am excited. I can't wait to start talking LA poker again.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Super happy to be back after our hiatus, but we were super busy, and so was everyone else during our break.
Yeah, if you'll notice, my background looks a little different again. I am moved, and not a second too soon, because now I get to worry about the new place and all the fires happening around LA. LA is on fire, poker-wise and
Yeah,
otherwise. So for all of
yeah,
you listening out there in LA, stay safe, be careful, keep your eye on the news. And for those of you who are not in LA, I don't know. Keep your eye. Send your best wishes out to your folks. Pray for us. Whatever you got to do. It's bad in some areas out here. It's bad in a lot of areas out here.
yeah. It is. It is.
All right. So what are we gonna do today? We have a lot of time to catch up on. We haven't been here since the last series, which was the Gardens with the Black Friday special, really. So we've got pretty much all of December, which means we've got all of the WPT events to go over. The LA Blasters made a strong showing over there, and we have most of the first series of the year here that has already gone by, the Gardens Winter Series. So we ended the year with the Gardens. We begun the year with the Gardens. That sounds good to me. Definitely, if I had my choice, that's how I would do it. So why don't we just jump right in?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So last December, the talk of the town, right, was the free roll, the $1 million WPT free roll. And we talked a lot about how, man, I didn't really like the way they were handling the announcements of how things were going out. We were joking how Derek got in right away on the first week. And, I still don't like the way they handled the announcements and the way that they kind of flowed out the info. But, I mean, we all got in, so something must have worked, right?
It's true. We did.
Hey, welcome Patrick in the chat. Thanks for joining us. And Astromech, welcome Astromech. So turns out all of us here on the LA Poker Roundup, field reporter and honorary field reporter number 2 there, we all got into the free roll and got to play. Unfortunately, only one of us made the money, but it was a great experience. They did a great job with the event itself. There were more things going on that I still, I just really fed into me not liking the way they handled the announcements and the way they handed things out. It's kind of weird, the situation of doing this marketing thing, but also it being like they're not lottery tickets, but they're like, it's not like you're handing out the grand prize. It's not like you're like doing a big giveaway and you give away the prize, right? So you have all these seats, you have thousands of seats, and the thing that I was noticing at the end was it seemed like they didn't give all their seats away, and then also a lot of people didn't show up, and it almost felt like they were giving away extra seats to, well, whoever they felt like. And whoever they felt like means people associated with WPT, celebrity names, that sort of thing, right? And it's just kind of like I said before, I don't really mind that they did that. What I mind is that it wasn't. No one said anything about it. Like they didn't say, oh, and by the way, at the last second, we're going to give away 40 seats to, awesome people like Kevin and probably Savage, people associated with WPT. Like you're giving these things away as like little thank yous. Like that's awesome, but like you didn't say anything about it, so it's just weird. And then also, I feel like I saw a lot of kind of poker names like who maybe were complaining about stuff at the last second, like like Kessler, or like I don't know, like Matisow, and then all of a sudden, morning of, I see them rolling in, going to play, and it's like, well, okay, well, they just got called up and said they come play. Like what the heck, man? Like, but it was surprising to me the number of people that didn't show up. I knew, we all knew people weren't going to show up, probably in the hundreds, but wow, almost 500 people didn't show up.
Yeah. I think to play devil's advocate, it was a humongous tournament, very, very hard to coordinate on top of the fact that they were for good or bad, distributing it via influencers, and they were kind of letting influencers sort of decide how they were going to do it. And there were so many of those across, and influencers and ambassadors. So it was like this entire distribution network of all these people giving stuff away, and some things weren't getting out there, and then they probably poorly timed things. So I kind of feel bad for them. But then I also, if I had to kind of look all up and ignore all of that, it did seem a little bit chaotic and disorganized.
Yeah. And if they ever did something like this again, which, that's another kind of not problem, but another reason for this, right? Is it's such a unique event. They probably won't do it again. They probably learned a lot of lessons, right? I mean, I thought it was a good idea for them to give away a lot of the seats at the last second there with the drum, with the raffles for doing satellites. Try and reward people to come to your event, try and get people to come to your event. But honestly, the last couple free rolls they did on their on the website, that's how I got my seat. I got a seat in the 100 qualifier free roll. A lot of those were, it was almost, it's a really good stress test for them, but it seemed like not a great way to do it because, if I had lived on the East Coast, I might have just fired into that thing because it was free, and then I might win a seat and then look into the travel, and now I'm not coming. And when they did that free roll, Canada wasn't open to it, whereas Canada can play later on when they like the whole sweepstakes, I believe, was open to Canada, but not for the free rolls. So they then suddenly were giving away these, I think they ended up giving away like 400 seats through these free rolls on their WPT Gold site. But, it was kind of like fine print. Oh, by the way, Canada, you can't play this, though. So, it just leads to some more feel bad, right? Because it was all last second. No one knew these free rolls were going to happen. Maybe they didn't even. Maybe they didn't know their site would be ready for it. But just last second, it's like, sounds like a good idea. But at the same time, the messaging, right? It's just like Canada gets to feel bad now. And it's like, what? Why?
Right.
Yep. So anyways, we got to go. I had nothing all day. I sat at a table with, what was advertised. It seemed like 5 or 6 folks who almost never play tournaments. And then 1 or 2, I played with another LA guy who doesn't play as much anymore. And another person who maybe plays some tournaments. But for the most part, the table was pretty new, but I just had no cards all day. One unfortunate thing from my story, though, was I was playing over in the poker room tournament area, the one that's right outside the Win Poker Room, and after half the day or whatever, that whole side broke, and we walked over to the main ballroom. And I tell you what, the dealers are typically really great at the Win, but the dealer we had at that break and at the walkover, he was just done. I felt like he must have been having a tough day. Like he was checked out. He didn't want to. It really felt like he didn't want to be there. And I've never seen this before. So we all bagged up. We all got the new table number. We got our little bags. We were supposed to. It's like, okay, follow your dealer to your new table, right? The dealer you would expect to kind of be playing field trip. Like little. A grade school teacher, like, hey, here I am, table 888, follow me, right? Guy walks off, doesn't count the players, doesn't care. There's a guy at the end of the table, looked down his phone. I'm yelling, hey, guy, hey, we're leaving. We're going to the table. We're at this new table. And he's just looking down, hey, we're going, right? Okay. And then I got to go because the dealer's just walking off. So we walk on down the hall. He's walking with about 5 of the guys from the table. 2 or 3 of us are probably about 15 feet behind. And then I'm walking, and all of a sudden I see a bunch of the guys that were ahead of us just kind of stop, and I catch up to them, and they're like, hey, what's going on? Why aren't we going over there? And they're like, well, the dealer just went to the bathroom. So we were walking from the one room to the other room, and the dealer just hopped off into the bathroom on our walk over. So we're just standing there like, do we keep going to the table? What do we do? I don't know. So we waited a minute. He came out. Dealer in the middle of his down here, just goes to the bathroom, hopefully washed his hands, So we go to the new table. We're all sitting there, and we all get to the table and put our chips down. We're like, hey, wait, where'd that guy go? The guy that I was trying to say, hey, time to go. Let's go. He didn't show up. And then they're about to start, and we're shouting. We're like, hey, we're missing a person. This guy's not here yet. He didn't come over. And they didn't start yet, but then someone sees him. He's over at he's over in like the middle podium. And the floor we were talking to is like, oh, is that him? And we're like, oh, yeah, that's him. Bring him over. He's like, oh, no, he's DQed. And it's like, I guess that makes sense. But at the same time, I mean, he didn't move. I was yelling at him to come on. But our dealer didn't say a word to anybody. And it was the sloppiest room table move I've ever seen. It was really out of character for the really win in WPT. So I was just like, I was, and he was, of course, very upset, and I understand. I mean, like, he comes all this way, plays this event, get DQ'd on the walk over because he was too slow, and it's like, I don't know. I could have told them very close to how many chips he had because he just got a double plus up against me by playing 8 super weird right before we moved. So, like, I knew how many chips he had. But anyways, that was a weird thing. That was, like, probably the most notable thing that happened during my free roll time there.
I think at that kind of scale, I guess you got to expect a little bit of
Yeah.
incompetence here and there.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's unfortunate, super unfortunate.
yeah, so that was super weird. I wasn't expecting that. But you, this is going to be a running theme for the whole WPT. You maybe had some more interesting experience there. So you can actually are the only one who hit the money and can tell us what it was like playing this weird structure.
You know what? It feels like so long ago, and I don't remember things at this point. So I'm gonna try to recall. But the free roll definitely a fun experience. Definitely super lucky to have shipped a seat so early. I kind of like really don't remember the free roll at all, but I was very fortunate to go like all the way through and make the money. I did definitely go like way up and down. It was like super high variance. At one point, I felt like I was like the chip leader at the table, and then maybe like one orbit later, I was like the short stack. So it was like very, very up and down. The structure was obviously like super fast for a free roll, but yeah, I was actually just really happy to cash that thing like right away, like very, very early on. But yeah, it was I don't think there was anything like even like too super memorable about it. The unfortunate thing is I didn't make it all the way to I was like maybe 2 or 3 away from when they started doing the bounty, so that was kind of unfortunate because I really wanted to at least try to pull one envelope. But yeah, just I mean just cashing in that thing was I felt like a pretty big accomplishment.
Yep, yep. I know some other LA blasters got in it and got a hold of a couple of those bounties. Did all right. I know Mike Ung pulled some sweet ones. I think he pulled
Yeah,
like a
he did.
10K, right? And some other of our folks got some love, even if the photo wasn't the greatest. Nice shot there, Mike. But yeah, so as the picture kind of says, we got Fausto here, we got Mike, and another one of our LA Blasters who plays not a lot of tournaments, more of a cash player. I believe her name is Diane Zimmerman. She and Fausto actually came in as some of the chip leaders into day 3, and as this article says, there were several people, including those 3 from LA, playing both the free roll and the prime
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same time. And I know Fausto ran into an unfortunate hand and got booted from the prime. I don't know how early, but somewhat early, and he was able to cash the free roll. Oop, wrong one. It's been a while, guys. And was able to cash the free roll and do pretty well in the free roll, and as well as cashing the prime. But Mike ended up with a really nice deep run in the prime, and as well as Diane. So it was doing a little bit of not Iron Man, but whatever you call the double dip in there, the double tabling, multi-tabling, the live multi-tabling. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of the prime, here were the results. We had a couple folks go pretty deep. The first name that I recognized in the results was Mike. So we got Mike Liang down here in 23rd. I don't know if anyone else sees someone higher from LA, but we had Mike Liang here in 23rd. We got where's the name, Diane Zimmerman that I was mentioning here in 42nd. And I believe, and look at this, the name we'll see in a moment here, Scott Stewart got 47th in the prime. He was just having one hell of a week or two. And where did Fausto end up? Busting out of the prime. Fausto finished somewhere. Oh, there, in 86. So some nice deep runs by the LA Blasters there in the prime. All right. Now, let's remember that one name. So going over to the main, the prime was just like a little warm-up. The main, LA stormed the castle, man. We just took all the money. And congratulations to Scott Stewart, your boy Stu, for getting the win, bringing the title back home to LA, and winning $2.5 million in this thing. So holy cow.
Congrats, buddy.
And not only that, but third place was our very own Eddie Pack as well. This guy, I swear, I don't think he plays much volume. He just destroys everything. It's like if it's not going to be at least like $1 million up top, he just doesn't play. I mean, because he had a super deep run in the main event, and now this third place here, like way to go. And then not an LA
seems
guy,
like he goes deep in a lot of the big ones that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I have to shout out Chris Moorman, not an LA guy, but like 4th place twice in a year. What the heck?
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's not the right one. And not just there, but we had some more good results here. Elvin Bayo got 23rd in the main, good for 146,000 as well. And not only that, but Elvin also just cashed one of the Poker Go events. I saw, I believe he got 11th in one of the Poker Go events just recently. So that was good for, I think it was just over min cash at 30K, but like first, I believe that was his first.
Definitely playing really good.
Yeah, I believe that was his first foray into the Poker Go Studios for those that PGT event, and playing with the big boys. He's really putting his name on the map. So way to go! Be cheering for you, Elvin. I don't know how many more. Well, actually, I think that series wrapped up, but I don't know how much more often he's going to be playing in that. So way to go! Now, back to your boy Stu. He had an epic run. He was a super fun person to watch, playing the whole time. I mean, he was playing for like the good old boys. He was playing with a beer in his hand and a smile on his face the entire time at this final table, on the feature table. And I can't wait to have him on the show. Next week. We were trying to get him earlier, but he was still celebrating, so we just had to hold off, guys. But we're gonna have you boys Stu on the show next week. If you want to tune in for that, make sure you're around. Have some questions ready for him, and it's gonna be a really fun. If the pre-game chat, just chatting with him for a couple minutes, means anything, it's gonna be a blast. So make sure you tune in for that next week. All right. You also, I didn't scroll down far enough, but you also played the main, right?
I did.
And I believe you also, I forget, it was last year, was that ace queen hand that haunted you for months, right?
Brutal.
Was that still like 10 away from the bubble or something?
Yeah, it haunts me to this day. Really, really good stack, and just to kind of.
So was that in mind this year? I mean, did that happen to you again?
No. So this year, it was really interesting. I played very ABC. I mean, I think it was like maybe 1 out of 10 hands I would do a little bit of a spicy bluff here and there, but nothing like too spewy or spazzy or crazy. And I was just very patient. I just tried to stay out of trouble. I actually probably overfolded to 3 bets a little bit more than I typically do. And it was fine because I just feel like sometimes like these like 4 or 5 day tournaments, people don't realize how good the structure is and how patient you really can be. So I was able to just kind of maintain my stack, got through day 1 without too much muss and fuss, and then got all the way to cashing, which is fantastic. Always great to cash a 10K. Had a lot of really tough players at my tables too. I think really the unfortunate thing was near the bubble, I lost a flip, just a standard flip with 9s against ace king, which actually took me from like 35 bigs down to like 20. And then from there, I kind of just kind of chickled my way down to like 15. And all of a sudden I was like in awkward stack territory and unable to do anything. So it's just like really interesting sometimes how that one hand can like really change the trajectory of how like everything goes.
Yeah.
But then on day 2, I think I actually posted this hand on Twitter. It was a very, very soft table. It was within the first orbit. I only had, I think like 10 bigs or something like that at that point, or maybe 11 bigs. It was a raise under the gun. The whole table seemed like pretty tight, passive, and almost a little bit like scared for a day 3 10K. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Or whatever that was. I probably shouldn't have taken the spot. So basically, it was a raise under the gun. There was a caller, and then I had 9s on the button, and I actually like sat and tanked for quite a bit before like putting it in. Running it through a solver, it was really funny because it was like literally split like 30-30-30 between like fold, call, and jam.
Man.
Or not. No, it wasn't fold. It was actually like call. Or no, it was fold, raise, or jam. No calling. Those were the 3 options. So I ended up picking like the most aggressive one, but even then I was just like, you know what, at a table like this, maybe fold was correct because I probably could have found like better spots to take it from there. But then the guy called me, he had jacks, and I ended up busting from the tournament. But it was still, great to get a cash.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I sure wish I'd cashed the main this year. It's a big effect on your results typically when
For sure, yeah.
When you throw the 10K in there with your like $700, $600 average buy-in.
It's a big swing because it's not only like the cash that you get, which is, whatever, like 9,700 or whatever it is, but then, to not be in the whole 10K is a big deal, right?
It's the full 20K swing. Yeah. It matters a lot to when we come back home and we grind these things, right? All right. But that was not the end. That was not the end for you. You stayed and you kept grinding. You kept min cashing a lot of other stuff. You kept playing all the events. And, Jeremy, you're the Jeremy, his buddy here from Alaska, Mr. Adam Hendricks. Hendricks got number 1. And we had to hear about him being split with his loyalties because, man, you were in the running for this thing right to the end. Look at this. Derek Kwan, 7th place in the 3K event for $124,000. Your biggest career live cash to date. And I'm a little offended. I didn't check. I should have checked that. What is that? Is that That's got to be within $200 or $300 of my cash at the Gardens when I won that thing. So like I feel like you just had to like nudge me by a couple $100, or like it's like could you it's like you were
It's
trying to
so
get the
close.
payoff that would make us the most exactly the same. So
Just what caused the most pain. Yeah, this was unbelievably tough field. I mean, like, there should be no surprise at 3K field, but it was like every table, maybe one of the tables was like actually mega soft, but then almost anything sort of late in day one, and then obviously all through day two, and then into day three, the final day. Super, super tough table going down the stretch. We had Justin Young, we had Tamayo. It was just like crushers, like all the way through. Um,
yeah, your final table
this
here, I mean, it was Hendricks, O'Hara, Jeremy Becker. I mean, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super rough. I think I played really well. I don't, and the thing is, I didn't like run good or anything. I felt like I was pretty card dead, and I was actually pretty short stacked almost the entirety through day two to the end of day two. And then when we got down to 18, I was fortunate to just get a couple of good hands. And ended up like not getting anybody in there like completely dominated. I just kept like flipping with people. Like I was playing really tight, and I finally raised with like king queen offsuit from like under the gun plus 2 or something, and somebody jams at me. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And he jammed like 11 bigs, and I was like, I don't actually know if this is a call here with king queen off with the ICM. So it was like constantly getting put in tough spots. I ended up calling. He had like sevens, and I won that flip. But I was fortunate, in that sense, I would say I was fortunate to basically win
Just
all
keep
my
winning
all
those
in
flips. Yeah.
hands. Yeah, just like when I got it in, I just kept winning. But I only got it in like maybe 3 or 4 times, across like that, like the final whatever it is, like 2 or 3 hours. But that basically got me into the final table. Unfortunately, that final table, I went completely card dead. I had no playable hands, like basically the entire time.
Mm.
I was just folding, folding, folding. Um, I ended up jamming a hand I shouldn't have jammed. I don't even remember what the hand was. I don't even remember what the hand was. It was just like at that point, I was like, you know what? I have to leverage my image here
It's
because
probably
people
like
probably think
it's probably like ace three off under gun or something like
it,
that.
it, it might have been, so it was something like that from like relatively early position and not a good hand. And I shipped it. And then basically the big blind um, was like mentally folding. Like he picked up his cards as if to fold. He looked at them and then he sighed and then he threw his cards down and threw all his time chips in because he obviously didn't want to call, but he had a callable hand.
Okay. Well,
He
you were right
later
about
told
your
me,
image then.
yeah, he ended up folding sixes, which I actually think is probably a correct fold given like the situation in the ICM. But it was like that kind of a day, and then finally, like I got ace ten, which is like my best hand by far at that final table. I shoved, I got called by king queen, and ended up busting in seventh. And the thing that was so irritating was that all the short stacks kept doubling, and the
Yeah, I
short
hate
stacks
that.
were getting in dominated, like dominated. It was like some like unpaired hand against like kings, and then just like hitting two pair was just crazy, crazy stuff. And I was just sitting like, my God, are you
It's the
kidding me? I'm like
worst.
card dead
Yeah. It's like
and this
that
is
bad
happening.
beat, and that bad beat hurts you more than it hurts the person they beat. You're just like,
Right.
no, that just cost me 20 grand. He doesn't care. He's
Right.
got 50 bigs. That cost me 20 grand.
I mean, honestly, if like the way ahead hands had beat the short stacks, I'd probably get 2 pay jumps, like just on off of that alone,
Wow.
right? And I mean those pay jumps are humongous, right?
Yeah.
So I
Two
I
pay
would have the
jumps
two
would
pay
have
jumps.
got you to 200K.
Right. Yeah. So it was very, very significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, unbelievably fun to, play against such good players. Really good experience. I always learn so much going to the WPT and even WSOP in the summer, especially in the main event. Playing against good players really kind of ups your game and kind of challenges you in a way that maybe the blasters don't, inside of our little ecosystem. But then to get it to such a significant prize pool final table is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it sure doesn't hurt to cap off the year like that and make sure you
Yeah.
get a nice boost right at the very end there, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's got
and
to be
also like
nice.
I ran pretty well online too. I think I basically I want to say I think I cashed almost everything I played except for maybe one online event. And I played like 3 or 4 online events, and like two of them were for ring events, and unfortunately I didn't ship a ring.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very, very good December for me
Yeah.
because I was having a pretty rough year overall.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if anybody deserved it, man. And yeah, we got to get serious, LA, about getting these rings and bracelets. May's going to be around before we know it, and that Tournament Champions can be back. Um, But what I heard through these stories was you're playing ABC poker all through the main event, and somehow you couldn't find any hands to play near the end of this event. I don't know, man. I think you might. I think age might be catching up with you. I think it might be finally time to like just get in there and play those senior events and just embrace it. I think you might be turning into an OMC. I don't know. I'm seeing it.
You know
I
what?
see it.
It's interesting. It's like I'm not dodging the seniors events. I swear. It's just that whenever the seniors events are running, it's just like, well, do I play this one or do I play the 3K, which was like $5 million guaranteed or something, right? So like obviously I'm gonna to play the bigger ones.
You know what I think you should do though. Here's a strategy. All right, so there's a strategy for the next event like that 3K.
Mm-hmm.
Play, go like normal, do like normal, and then when it gets near the end there, switch, dress like an old Asian man and embrace that side and come to the table as like an old Asian man, like a little driving cap, a little sweater, and then like see if you get more of those folds. See if they call you with that king queen now, right? See, I think it might work. I think it might work.
You know what? I honestly, I know we're just kind of like joking around, but I just feel like the image that I have would get less abused than the image of like an OMC, to be honest with you. I think it would be a lot harder. It would actually be a lot harder pretending to
It could
be
be
like
funny.
an OMC.
It would be funny. I mean, it wouldn't take too much, and you should just see what the experience is like. It'd be like wearing a fat suit, just like see what see what it's like. All right.
But yeah, definitely a very fortunate December for me, and glad to end the year on a good note.
Yeah. I did not get to play. So after I busted the free roll, I had dinner with my friend and I drove right back to LA. I didn't play anymore. You guys are just posting nonstop, talking about all the things you're cashing and all the things you're playing, making me feel like so left out. And then I went to the East Coast for Christmas. Hope everyone had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. But I went to the East Coast and I played almost no poker. I played a couple hours of dusty daytime low limit cash just over at Foxwoods, but really didn't play anything. So I missed like the whole beginning of the Garden series, and you guys are making me feel really, really out of the loop. I mean, I'm just like you guys are posting pictures with Kevin. You're posting pictures of like the Vegas and the ring events. Man, you guys, you're killing me. So. Yeah. I don't know. Basically, I'm never leaving again. So,
while a lot of FOMO for you.
Yeah, while we were gone though, there were a couple other things going on. So, we'll get to the Gardens events in a minute. But before we do, over at the bike, they have been running new weekly tournaments on the weekends, and Jeff has been posting some results. So let's quick run through some of the winners here. The inaugural one back on December 7th, and this is the day that I won my seat to the free roll. I was playing them both, playing at the table. There were a lot of us playing at the table, and after I busted, I won the seat a couple hours later, sitting there I couldn't leave. We were down to like the last hour and a half or so. So congratulations to Sammy. I don't know if he's in the chat today, but congrats on that win. He won the inaugural bike weekend Saturday. So way to go. We have Sammy getting first. We got some other notable names around in the cash here. Second place was, well, man, he's got to work on a new font. This is kind of tough to read. Joe B. Michael Leon, then Rami Nabil Nabi, Chu Kin Lu, Samir, and Daniel Borden, Robert Pepe. So congrats to all those folks. The Sunday event, the second event there in the 8th, that was won by Vinny Vin, and then second place was Felix Yu. Third was Zachary Conti, and fourth was Sargis. So lots of familiar names in there. Robert Pepe getting 7th again, so cashing final tabling both days. Way to go.
Nice work.
We have some more results. So the following week, the 14th, they got to a prize pool of $32,000. And, I did play that first week. This tournament, the structure is interesting. It's you start with 50,000 and you stay pretty deep the whole way through. Even later on, after registration ended, still felt like it was okay to play. So surprisingly, it did speed up later on, but it wasn't as bad as, say, like a Lucky Lady event where you start with 50K and 5 levels after reg is over, everyone's at 12 bigs. So you can still definitely get some play in here. This one on the 14th was won by Ricky Barraza. Second was Mark Astemborski. Third was Antonio Villalas. Fourth was Sammy again, and I have a feeling that was a chop because he was telling me how he won twice in a row. So I have a feeling the top 4 at least chopped here. Fifth was Brandon Boyd. Sixth was Kristen Shura. Seventh, Gordon Anderson. And eighth, Hiccup Gevzian, and 9th, Lou Tamazian. So congrats to that top table. Oh, Sean Gill, is that really his last name? Is Sean Gill his middle name? Just reading old Sean's name at 11. I've never seen that part of his name. All right, so the following week, the next day, the 15th, winner was Danny Chen. Second was Guang Li. Third was Chengsu Lai. And fourth was Cesar El Caraz. So congratulations to those guys. Now, the following week was interesting because the following week they had a little competition, I believe. I think on the 21st is when Commerce started their 25K guarantee on their Saturday tournament, which they did for a couple weeks in a row. So that is why this week the prize pool dipped a little bit. They were spreading the players out between both the Bike and the Commerce. Now, the Commerce didn't post any results, so I can't say who won that, but they had a good turnout as well. Here, the winner on the 21st was Antonio Hernandez. Second was Nick Rosenthal. Third, Patrick Daniel Beltran. Fourth, Chin Hang Wang. Fifth, Carlos Sanchez. Sixth, Rick Sung-woo. And seventh, Thomas Nustkunst. Congratulations to all of those players. Sunday, December 22nd, is the last one I've got some results for here. Winner was Gary Sewell. Second was Sean Zaman. Third was Mark Flatley. Fourth was Douglas Williams. And fifth was Shant Solakun. So congratulations to those guys at the top 5. It looks like the top 6 chopped, so I'll say 6th place was Varujan Haddad. So congratulations to all of those players. The Bikes weekly tournaments are off to a nice start. And just a reminder, they are keeping track. They have a point system for their tournaments. A certain number of buy-ins will qualify you for a free roll that they're going to hold in March. I'm not sure if they have a date. Let me see if he still has that pinned here. Yep. So if you do 5 entries, you will get entry into this, which is on March 9th at 11 a.m. It's a $50,000 free roll tournament. So I need 4 more entries. I think I've only played once over there in these things. But if you go over there and you fire 5 bullets, you get in. Up to 25 bullets will get you the maximum number of chips for that free roll 50K. The other way to do it is to play cash game hours. It'll take 100 hours to get that low stack and 200 hours to get that high stack over there. And you have to do that you have until the end of February to do that. So
yeah. Yeah, if you're a daily player, definitely get out there. Free rolls are always nice. It's a nice thing. Anytime one of the casinos does one of these for us.
Yep.
So yeah,
get some
definitely
nice
get out
rake
there and
back.
play. Yeah, support their dailies and then go win some free money.
Yeah, get some nice rake back. And I really did enjoy when the competition was happening there between the Commerce and the Bike, trying to get that Saturday slot locked down. It's interesting to me that the Gardens kind of backed off of it and switched their Saturday event to a 10K guarantee instead of fighting them for that. But whatever works for them. But it's nice to have that competition. I did go and play one of those Saturday events after I bagged up the main at the Gardens. Played that Saturday event at the Commerce, and it was nice. There were still some complaints though, and there are still some concerns going into the LAPC, but I will hold those for when we talk about the LAPC schedule at the end here. All right, just trying to catch up on the chat there. Pat's got some, he knows some of the folks we're talking about, it looks like. All right, so those are the dailies. The other events that I missed, as I was just alluding to, we're almost done with the Gardens Winter Series. The Gardens Winter Series is always highly anticipated. It's super fun. Starts right after Christmas on the 26th, and they just run events nonstop all the way up until the LAPC. So let's jump right into those, shall we? The first event, the Winter Series, started with a seniors event, and the winner did not want their name listed in Hendon, so I will not read it either. I believe I have it somewhere. But second place was Ed Elkani. Way to go, Ed. Third place, Beth. Way to go, Beth Hall. Fourth place, Tool Jr. Fifth place, Anastasios Hatsif. Sixth place, Thuy Nguyen. Seventh place, Gabriel Partel. Eighth place, Min Nguyen. And ninth place, Sandy Peterson. So nice final table here. A lot of regs, a lot of people you would expect to be here. Some nice little wins and ways to start the year. Way to go, guys. Way to go, Ed. Way to go, Beth. And you did not play that event because you said there's always something else going on, right? So what was happening on December 26th?
December 26th. I don't remember what was happening on December 26th.
All right. The second event was a 360 buy-in. I'm not sure what the guarantee was 50K. So this was a nice little event. They ended up doubling that, the common theme at the Gardens. Their total prize pool ended up being 111,000. So congratulations, first place David Gu. And you know what? Let me switch over to our LA Poker Roundup because then we can see pictures of all of the beautiful winners instead. So jumping through LAPC here, this was Ed taking second in the chop here. Anonymous taking the other part of the chop. So it looks like Ed got to take the trophy home on that seniors event. And here we have David Gu taking the 21,000 for first place in that event. Second place was Hai Xiao Li. Third was Robert Pepe. And fourth was Wenya Ye. Fifth was Adrian Spikiak. Skydiving watermelons. I think you need an at before that one there, Frank. Sixth, Albertin Hernandez. Seventh, Kevin Song. Eighth, Sayed Hosseini. And ninth, Arthur Muradiant. So, way to go.
Oh,
This
I
was
get
a
why
three-way chop.
I understand why you're asking. Like, what was I doing that I couldn't make this?
Yeah, that you couldn't play.
Oh, yeah. This actually was just tired and I was just like burned out.
Okay.
It was just day off.
Yep. All right. So yeah, Frank, you sent me the spreadsheets, and you made me completely forget just that you post all of the results anyways. So let's see. Oh, look at this lovely shot of the people playing in the 50K super bounty. So let's see who won that thing. So the event number 3, mystery bounty, 100K guarantee at the Gardens, was another three-way chop between Andrew Kill, Adam Swan, Mr. Seven Deuce, or Mr. Two Deuce, and Lam Win, Garden Super Reg. Fourth place, Mike Correa. Fifth place, Christopher K. Sixth place, Daniel Paramaki. Seventh place, Grant Yarbo. Eighth place, George Utak. And ninth place, Daniel Lee. So way to go, all the regs. You got to love it. Coming for Christmas, all the regs playing, grinding away, getting the wins. Event number 4 was the Turbo for that night. Winner was Oscar Barajas. Other notables in the top here, we had Paul Wynn here in 5th. I'm surprised they let him write his name down. Jared Griner in 7th. I guess he wanted to get in some more grind in here. And Vontre Gardner Mel got 8th. So way to go, all of you. The next big event here was the 50K guarantee super bounty, which ended up having, once again, over double their prize pool. So Wei Xing Zhao and Amir Nesar Portak, they chopped it up and then got lots of bounties apiece. You'll remember Wei Xiang was the one who finished runner-up to Christina Gollins in the homecoming for was that what they called it? The first event of the May circuit event. So nice way to cap the year or to start the year. Let's see, what was the date on this one? I think it was cap the year for him. So they each took home over 20K. And then third place, Hai Xiao Li. Fourth place, Nidal Jamili. Fifth place, Sayed Ahmadvan. Sixth place, Christopher Carney. Seventh place, Elvin Bayo. Came back to play in a little 500 mystery bounty, or super bounty. Eighth place, Dantram Hyun. And ninth place, Edward Paus. Congratulations to all of you in event number 5.
Yeah, and then this very condensed, week before the new year, I fired a bunch. Luckily, I didn't fire too many bullets at any single event. It was only like 1 or 2 here and there. But
really? Because from the group chat, it sounded like you were firing 5 or 6 in every event.
No, it wasn't like that, but man, I was running so bad. So maybe it wasn't like all of December, but I'm glad that it was the WPT ones, the bigger ones that I ran well in. But man, that was a very, very bad week to cap off the year, I'll tell you.
I like to feel like, it's probably just me playing loose and gambly, but I like to feel like these smaller buy-ins it's just where we get out all the bad luck. It's just, it's nice.
Usually it's the other way around. So I think that was my problem this year, was that I ran bad in a lot of the big ones.
Yeah.
It was like the Commerce Mains and the high rollers, fired 3 or 4 bullets at that thing, and then just like breaking it. And then like those 2 massive hands, like you remember when, like we were literally last hand of day 1 and I get cooler, set. Well, there was the set against 2 pair, which then pulled me down. And then there was that hand with Mike in the freaking main event where like I basically got them all in for like, whatever it was, like 160 big.
One versus Commerce Pro, one versus Mike. Yep.
Yeah, and then that one, I had queens against just a flush draw. He ended up hitting his flush draw for basically a chip. Both of them were chip leading pots. So like that was why I was buried this year, even though I looked like I was having a good year. I was not until, the WPT.
Yep, yep. I was kind of doing the opposite. I wasn't banking the wins, but I don't know. It felt like this year I was just for the most part doing terrible in almost any single day event, and then in all the multi-day events I would be bagging up at way higher rate than I would expect. So it was strange. So I'll take it though. I like it. I like the multi-days a lot more. And Patrick, that is what
Yeah.
we are here for. We are trying to make celebrities. If I could say their names correctly, that would be the only thing we're missing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Sean
Yeah.
Gill. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely want to give the shine to all our local players and even the daily tourney grinders for sure.
Yeah, and especially the daily tourney grind. And love what we really love is, and it's what we're trying to do with our Player of the Year as well. Really love seeing things like reading Elvin Bayo's name off a bunch of times, and then we're gonna see him crushing the PGT one of these days, or like things like that, right? So that's what
Yeah.
we're looking for. All right, let's move over to the ladies event. So Gardens is one of the few places in LA that still runs a ladies event, and they had 54 entries in the one they ran this series, and it was won by Deborah Bauman. Congratulations, Deborah. Second place, Susan Kaufman. Third place, Mai Bui. Fourth place, Hathi Hosseini. Fifth place, Becky DeVries. Sixth place, Taylor Blackburn. Seventh place, Deborah Feinberg. Eighth place, Terry Breer. And ninth place, Lelaine Aparicio. So this event last year was won by Beth Hall, who we read her name off for getting third in the seniors event. So where was Beth? Oh, Beth won the evening event that day, so she did come to defend her title. She must have thought, hey, not enough people entered this. I'm gonna jump out and go over to this guy because she won the 10K or the 10K guarantee, which had 111 entries, and she ended up in getting more money actually, and she got $6,000 for topping with first place and got herself a nice trophy here.
Nice work,
So way
Beth.
to go, Beth. I very, very, very sorry to inform you, Beth, that neither the senior event nor the nightly turbo though count for our player of the year. But the good news is you are still doing very well. I will bring up the results later and see you're still right near the tightly bunched top. So congratulations, Beth, on this one. And chopping with her was Howard Dulpke. Third place, Lori Wheeler. Fourth place, Dennis Loput. Fifth place, Derek Ladd. Sixth place, Stephen Himber. Seventh place, Cameron McDonald. Eighth place, Aruchian Arkelian. That's a name we read a lot, if I recall, back at the bike MSPT era,
Mhm.
right? And ninth
Yeah.
place, Chu Lu. So congratulations to all of those players. So that was event 7. Let's move on. Event number 8, the Monster Stack Turbo 25K guarantee, ended in a 9-way chop. And the reason probably being this was on New Year's Eve. So players got to final table, said, let's go party. Congratulations to all of these players. The one with the most chips was Kevin Song. We read his name at a final table at one of these events earlier, so congratulations. Kevin Song first, second, Hui Nguyen, not third, Mr. Donald Bolt, another Gardens Super Reg. We love seeing Donald in the chops. Fourth was Anonymous. Fifth, Frank Lynn, field reporter extraordinaire. Sixth place, Paul Cho. Seventh place, Teofil Groza. Eighth place, Thomas Bochinsky. And ninth place, Kyung Kim. So congratulations to all of them getting in their last cash of the year. Then Happy New Year's. And in the start of the new year, the very first event, the New Year's Day Deep Stack, we had, look at that final table. First place in this event did not want to be reported, anonymous. Second place was Pao Katkoi. Third place, Anawir Arapati. Seventh place, Alti Fong. Forgot to mention, Alti shipped one of the events at the Venetian right at the
Oh
end
yeah.
of the year before the year ended. So I did not bring that up, but congrats to that. Alti got, I think it was one of their deep stacks. I think she got like more than 30 grand for that. So way to go. I was
Yeah.
getting real-time updates from my friend who was dealing probably a cash game near there saying, hey, I think I see Alti over here. It's like, I think it's the final table. So shout out, way to go. Fifth place, David Bynes. Sixth place, David Pock. Seventh place, Kyle Pryor. Eighth place, Jimmy Stovall. And ninth place, that is not Elvin Bayo, that is Albin Bayo, the brother, the twin brother. So way to go. Bayo's having a nice start to the year here. What else?
Yeah. Good job, everyone.
All right. With that event brought us to the main event. The main event was I was finally back in town, super excited, wanted to play, came on Thursday and bagged up on Thursday, so I didn't get to play again for like 3 days. But whatever, I'll take it, man. Fifth in the first day of bagging, I got basically an exactly average stack. I got in there. Um, you guys got in there. Did you get in the second day?
Yeah, second day.
Where are
Yeah,
you
first
at?
day I
Yep, you got in on the second day, and we were right next to each other on the chip stacks here, 15, 16. Let's go.
yep.
And then Frank got in on the last day, or was the very, very last day? Was it the turbo or the last day, Frank? So Frank got in there as well. So we all made day two. I had the tiny bit more chips than the rest of the guys, but I met with disaster first, and these guys almost carried the flag to the final table. Unfortunately, they did not. Who did though? Let's find out. Where's the picture, my friend? You put it way up here? Oh, that's right. He'd be behind here. The winner, I believe he won the last main event at the Gardens. If not the last one, the one before that is Mr. Sal Keeve. Hell of a run this year at the Gardens. He is becoming a Gardens end boss. I tell you what, he and Jonah Lopez, who is in the chat, congratulations, Jonah, ended up chopping the turbo flights when Frank got in. Gotcha. They ended up chopping this main event. They agreed to a money chop and did a small save and played for the trophy. And the heads up match lasted 2 hands, and Sao took it down. So he received a little less money, but he got the title, he got the trophy, and they're both got to be pretty happy. 134K and 147K
Yeah.
for first and second there after their chop.
Nice scores.
Way to go. Jonah's biggest score to date. I'm not sure about Sao. I have to think it might be. This is probably a bigger event than the last one. The rest of the final table, a lot of familiar names. Third place, Matt. Well, let me just read: Sal Keeve, and then Jonah Lopez, Matt Perez, Craig Jackson, Andrew Tree, Mike Escandiari, David Uvidov, Larry Kang, or we decided that's Kwang, and Jackie Lee. So, way to go. A lot of familiar names. Man, I saw Jackie get away with a few early in the day at my table. He jammed that ace 10 into ace king faster than, you couldn't, his money couldn't have gotten in faster, and he couldn't have hit that 10 faster either, right on the flop. So, congrats to all these folks. I'm just a little bitter that I got busted out so early. My stupid ace king versus my stupid set of nines, stupid king 9 flop. All right. But you and Frank had very good showings. Frank actually busted you, I believe. I don't know. I don't have I didn't pull the video in. Thought it might be too painful, but I hear it wasn't his fault. You didn't even really raise his big blind.
Yeah. Yeah, so for the first day one, it was just another, it was like after already running bad at the Gardens, and I got like, past Reg, ended up getting in with jacks against nines, but then also a short stack got it in there with kings, and he played the hand pretty well. Had me completely fooled by the time he flipped his hand over. I was like, why do you have kings here? But then, the other player spiked a 9 on the river and busted me from day one. I was very, very frustrated. But then luckily, day two, on my second bullet, which was on the second day, ran pretty well. Ran up a pretty good stack. Kind of lost a pot at the end there to Jared, which maybe I shouldn't have, which took me down from like 315 down to whatever I had, like 275. And then on day two, I think this was another one where I was trying to sort of control myself and just kind of play, not exactly ABC, but definitely was playing a little bit more on the tighter set than I typically would. But I think things are working pretty well for me. I was able to apply pressure in a lot of good spots. Yeah, but then getting all the way down to, I think, it was like 6, and I actually didn't, there was a pay jump at 16. And when we were at 18, I was like, well, I was coming back from break with 3.5 bigs with the big blind coming to me. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get 2 bait jumps. There's no freaking way. So I'm probably just going to have to get it in at some point. And then folding my big blind, folding the small blind. I think it was like Jack 7 and something else. So I basically won big blind. And the reason why I did that is because Gardens changed to big blind only. And that's huge. So I think people should understand that.
Or big blind first.
You are down. Yeah, basically big blind first. When you're down to one big blind, if it's big blind first, that's hugely to your advantage. Because if it's ante first, you put in the ante and then you can only win your ante back. You can't actually get the blinds, right? But then if you're big blind first, you basically can win the blinds, and that's huge. And sometimes you can, triple, quadruple up depending on what's kind of going on there. So that definitely factored into me basically folding through and being able to, well, I get a whole nother orbit before it's my blind, and even then I can still win a pretty decent pot. And then again, king queen on the button. I literally had like 1.1 bigs or something like that, or 1.2. There was a limp. I shipped. Frank obviously had to call from the big blind. He had two hearts and basically ended up like I think turning the flush and then betting the other guy out of the pot. So I ended up busting off of one big, so it was no big deal. Frank did whatever he had to do. But then when they handed me the payout card, he gave me 16 and I was like, is this a mistake? I was like, what happened? How come I got 16th? But it was awesome that I actually made the pay jump because it was a like a 1K pay jump or something like that. So
Nice.
but yeah, it was fun to make another deep run in one of these things.
Yep.
Especially at the guards where I run so badly. So I'm glad to have made a good cash there.
Yep. And congrats, Frank. I believe you got 16th and Frank got 11th, I believe. Is that right? So I think that's what I walked back over right as Frank was cashing out. I think it was 11th. And unfortunately, I'm annoyed because I think you got what 4,400 for 16th. Is that, or was that what?
88.
88. Okay, and someone else.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that's interesting, like Gardens runs, they run great events. The structures are so, I want to say normal, but they're easy to understand. It's the way you should run an 1100, right? Like 10% rig, easy and simple. Everyone knows what they're getting into. If there's one thing I would talk about is just like the payouts are kind of weird in that
They're very weird.
The day two payouts, you start with that double payout, but it's only paying 10%, so that makes sense. And then there wasn't a pay jump until half the field went away. Like I don't think.
And then the pay jumps, are all like 1K all the way
and then
down.
Yep.
And then there's 2K jump.
Yeah, the pay
then it's
jumps
back
are
to 1K.
exactly one buy-in until really, really late when they start to get closer together, and then they start to change.
It's weird because then I think it was around like 18 where it jumped 2K instead of 1K or whatever it was, like around the 20s. And then it went back to another 1K pay jump instead of the 2K.
Right.
And then at the final table, it started jumping up again.
Yep.
Like we talked about before, there's no like exact right or wrong. It's weird.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're trying to get at, because basically, I guess the consequence of this would be,
I mean,
it's just like a super flat payout. So I actually don't know what the consequence would be.
In my mind, it's just it's so flat and then top heavy, right? It just really feels like it reduces the impact or there's just way less ICM thought, right? So like I'd never thought about trying to make any jumps. I mean, it's like if you at the start of the day, you're gonna have to live through 40 people just to make another 1,000, which is like, okay, let's just play.
It's funny because players kept asking me like, "Oh, when's the pay jump? When's the next pay jump?" And I was like, "I have no idea. I'm not even looking at the clock."
Yeah,
I'm not even looking at the clock right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So if there's one thing, it's just that's just so weird. I'd love to hear what's the real rationale. Like, what's the rationale by having a 2K pay jump and then going back to a 1K? In my mind, your pay jumps should ramp up dollar wise. I don't think they should ramp up percentage wise necessarily. Like the next one's a bigger percentage than the one before it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But the dollars should definitely ramp up. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one of those things too, where when you have jumped only like 1Ks to a certain point, then a 2K, and then back to 1K. When you finish in like the early teens and you've gone so deep, it doesn't like the money doesn't feel like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like I think 27th got you 4,400. So it's like, really? It's just strange because the problem with the linear pay jumps or with the constant step pay jumps is that each subsequent pay jump actually just means less. So it's like that's weird. Why is going deeper?
Right.
Why is each pay jump less meaningful than the one before it? That's like backwards. It's super weird,
It is.
So, I don't know. It's very strange, very strange. So if there's one thing I would complain about, it's that. Let's try and I hear Savage has a new WPT payout calculator. Maybe we should experiment with that. I don't know, but everything else, top notch. Absolutely love. Can't get any better. All right. Well, I mean, you can always get better, but I'm not going to complain about anything else.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move off, and Jonah, we should have you on in a couple weeks. We have a few other guests lined up, but we should definitely have you on to chat because man, your story sounds pretty wild. Jonah's a big time cash player, doesn't play a lot of tournaments, and at one point near the end, I want to say when there was maybe two tables left, or maybe at the final table, he only had two big blinds left. He got knocked all the way down to two big blinds and ended up winning the whole thing essentially, having the chip lead when they went for the chop. So. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. When you have that reverse, when each pay jump starts getting worse, it's like you have the most pay jump pressure earlier instead of later. It's so weird.
Right.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So Jonah, maybe in a couple weeks we'll definitely have to have you on to talk about. So try and remember. Unfortunately, if I had gotten back a little earlier and been more responsible and hadn't been moving this, didn't even have my computer set up in time. We needed a week to catch up. We just got too much to talk about this week to have guests this week. We could get you a little sooner, but we'll have you on soon. So yeah, he had two bigs at that 2.2 pay jump. He said so at 21 left, he had two big blinds and he goes on to win the thing. So we had a real chip in a chair
That's what I
story.
mean. Like, it's literally so many of my deep runs, final tables, and a couple of my wins, I was down to something like that, which is why I just don't sweat folding down to one big blind and just trying to spin it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right. Well, let's jump back into these results. We got a couple more to go. So the Winter Series event 11 was a super bounty, $500 buy-in, and it ended up with a heads-up chop. So the chip leader was Jesus Ayala. So congratulations, Jesus. He got 18K. I guess they're adding the bounties. He got 18.9. Way to go, Mr. Paul Wynn, second place in that chop, 16.8. Elizabeth McGuire, third. Nan Chen, fourth. Richard Sun, fifth. Albin Bayo, back in at the final table, sixth. Napoleon San Jose, seventh. Brandon Long, eighth. And David Sandiford, ninth. Congratulations to all of those players in that Super Bounty. All right.
Nice work.
We had a celebrity in the house came near a couple days ago. Matt Savage stopped in to support the event. He came in to play a little horse or heroes, and he came in to support his Savage Average tournament, which took place on Tuesday. Let's see here. The Heroes event that they played, he made the final table. Way to go. Comes rolling on in, makes the final table of the Heroes. Way to go. So look at this final table here. Just want to point out, shoot, did you write his name down in the payouts? Here we go. I don't have his nickname here, but that one fella has a bracelet. One of the funny things that someone had pointed out, I think, is that he got a bracelet back in like 76, and there were like 12 people in the event or something. This gentleman, second from the left down here, and it was in a mixed game. So some legends in the crowd here. But the winner of this event was Craig Chait. It was a
nice work, Craig.
Yep, it was a heads-up chop, and he ended up taking home a little over 6,000 for having the chip lead. Frere Danielian got 5K for second. Third place was Kianush Fee. Fourth place, Walter Smiley. Oh, I think that's the one. Smiley. He's the one that I was just talking about. And fifth place, Paul Liu. Sixth place, Matt Savage. Seventh place, Evan Braunstein. Eighth place, Hui Ma. And ninth place, Ricky Ortiz. Congratulations to all of the heroes. All right, now the Savage Average Tournament on Tuesday. I did not get to go. They're down there once again, taking pictures, waving, sending me messages, trying to make me feel bad. But the Savage Average, 30 big blind average, ended in a six-way chop, and Evan Muschetto took the win. So I did not get to play this, but you did, Derek. What did you think of the Savage Average?
I didn't get to experience because I didn't cash. I ended up busting 4 bullets at this thing. And I think just went back to the Gardens run back again. But the Savage Average by design feels like kind of a vice in the very beginning because typically at the beginning of tournaments you're used to coming in, playing deep stack poker, right? Before you get down to the 30, 40 big blind range, right? And then all of a sudden you're getting down and down and down into the big money. But you basically start at that point. So right away it felt very, very restrictive. Like it was almost like I got thrown into mid stage very, very early on. But then the players, because they're Gardens players, weren't min raising at 30 bigs, right? I'm already min raising when we get down to about 40 big blind average in most tournaments. They're still 3xing, going even bigger than 3x sometimes, which is then making the stack to pot ratio even smaller, right? Probably betting too big on flops. So it was like this entire tournament, not only because it was 30 bigs, but because of the style of most of the players at the Gardens, it was like you had almost no room to maneuver, and you kind of had to run good, right, to basically get anything. So I think I would have a much different opinion about this tournament if I had actually gotten deep, because then at that point, when you're sitting there 30 bigs deep, for big money against players like this, I think it's a very 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 different tournament. So I think the interesting thing is, like, when you ask people about feedback on the Savage Average, most people
Obviously,
don't
Evan
make
in
the
the
money.
chat has great feedback right now. Just saying.
But like, most people are going to give it not good feedback because they don't get to go deep, right? They don't get to experience the depth later on. But in the very beginning, it did feel very very restrictive. I almost wish that it was like, I almost feel like at this point, I think a perfect tournament would be a modified Savage Average where it's like 50 or let's say 40 bigs until the money, and then you go 30 bigs, and then maybe at the final table you even drop it down to 25 to not make it go forever, right?
Yeah.
Something like that feels like a little bit better than just all the way through.
Yep.
But conceptually, I still love the idea.
Yeah. Um, I kind of agree. Yeah, I saw that this one was set to 30 big blinds, and then probably in an effort to keep it from going too late. But maybe Evan can chime in. It was a pretty big chop. Was it because you guys thought it was going to take a long time? And I agree with you. I've been saying it ever since he announced the idea initially, that I thought that it is a very simple execution of the idea, but I would treat it as a proof of concept, because what I am excited
Yeah.
about is just saying it's okay to control this, right? That it's okay
Yeah.
to turn this knob as the event organizer. And I would really like to see someone design their tournament such that you start with like 50 bigs. Heck, if you want to start with 100, go ahead. But just consciously turn that dial down so that when you're at the bubble, maybe when you get to the bubble, you're only at 20 big blinds, but then you open it up again and you let the stacks grow again to 30, 40. And now maybe you're at 40 until you're down into like the serious pay jumps. And then you start going back down to 35, 30, 25, and then you hold it at 25, whatever, right? So something like that. I would love to see somebody play around with what feels the best, right? Like what gives players the best feel for play, and then still also let you get your event over, right?
Right.
Yep. So Evan was saying it kind of felt like the start of a day two, is how the tournament felt like to him. So
Yeah.
and what up,
Yeah.
Sammy?
Maybe if I just treated it that way, like mentally, I wouldn't have had the opinion that I did. Yeah, I probably wasn't like mentally there. I should have just probably been like in like mid stage or something, like right away.
Yeah. That's all good. Hopefully we'll get another chance. Honestly, I'm disappointed they didn't try to put one on the
The weekend, yeah.
LAPC also, the weekend and in the LAPC
Oh, yeah.
schedule. Because if DJ was there, he would have definitely put one on there, because he's all
Right.
about all this new stuff and trying new stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, I am sad I didn't get to play, but it's good to hear some feedback. Let's go back to some more results here. We had the event 16, the Omaha 8 Stud 8 event. Mark Weinstein got the win. Congratulations, Mark. It looks like an outright win,
nice.
so no chop.
That's funny. When Mark busted, he actually busted 14th or something in the Gardens main,
Mhm.
and we were actually talking about like mixed games. So it's funny because I don't actually think he plays them that much. So it's kind of funny that he just went and shipped.
I don't think he does, because as Frank reported, it's only the second time he's played live mixed game, and the other time the only time he's cashed live mixed game, and the other time was in the 1K big toe at the 2020 LAPC. So, yep, way to go.
It's funny that we're talking about it, and he just goes and ships one right after.
Yep, and he does it for 5K. Second place was Charles Davidson. Third place, Shirley Rosario. Fourth place, Polly Wu. Fifth place, Eugene Brockett. Sixth place, Thomas Doe. Congrats to that final table. Other event happened was event 17. The Tuesday night bounty had 153 entries. Six-way chop. Rachel Gardner, Poker Butterfly, takes the win and over 2K plus bounties. So congratulations to Rachel. That's a lot of bounties if those were really the ones she got.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I wouldn't doubt it. So congrats. Those are the results that we have so far. Which event was this? 17. Yep, that looks like all the results we have so far. Way to go. It is not over. There are still events to come. That was event 17. It is currently Wednesday. So today they had a no limit hold'em bounty, a big one, 50K guarantee, and I think they got up to like 80K in the prize pool. Then there's a night special. Tomorrow, Thursday, there is a 10K guarantee and then a PLO and also a Thursday night bounty, another 10K guarantee. And then Friday, they have their finale, 11 a.m., a 50K guarantee. I tend to go down there, assuming the fires are under control by then. Yeah, be safe when you're going out there, going these things, guys. But hopefully by Friday, things will be under control. And I'll go on out there and give that one a shot. And then they have their very final thing, 4 p.m. nightcap that night.
You're going to fire that instead of the LAPC?
Definitely instead of the LAPC day one. Day 1A. Yeah, well, definitely instead of day 1A. So, yeah, let's take 1 second to mention a few other stories, then we'll talk about the LAPC. So first thing I want to bring up is, I think I have it up here. Where is it? Yep. So you and I got contacted by a LA local website, and we have a little feature in the Voyage LA website. So if you guys haven't seen this, we got a little interview with Voyage LA talking about the pod. So check them out. We will put a link in the description below, and you can come check it out. So that's kind of neat. Got a little interview. Got some pictures in here of our, some of our fun times. So check that out. I had heard of Voyage LA before, but mostly for some of my friends who do like acting, voiceover, animation, that kind of thing. But it's cool. Get reached out for that. You had
nice to get some coverage,
that, right? Yeah,
I had not. But actually looking at their stuff, they seemed like they had some pretty good content, some pretty interesting interviews. So always nice to get featured and support both ways, right? So glad to get our LA Poker Roundup out there, but then also supporting a local, publication.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am going to jump ahead in my little outline because we have too much to talk about, and I want to just do a couple quick PSAs for the LA poker community. First one is kind of shout out to Xander. When I was I don't know if Xander's in the chat today, but when we were at the Gardens, I think I was playing the day 2, I saw a fella walk by in a Magic the Gathering hoodie, and I thought that was cool. I'm like, oh, hey, cool. And I know Xander's big in the Magic community. He said, hey, look at that. Guy's got a Magic hoodie. Who's that guy? Like, you know him? And Xander's like, hey, that's Alex Bertoncini. And for those of you who do not play Magic, it is important that the community and the tournament directors know that Alex Bertoncini is apparently playing in our community now. Why? Well, Google his name. I do not know him, but I had heard of him when I played Magic. As soon as he said the name, I knew what he was talking about. And he does not have a great reputation. So if you see this guy, I would say treat him like Min the Master. He cheated a lot when he played Magic the Gathering back when he was younger, and he has been caught before. He's been caught cheating at poker, according to these articles, according to these things, and other reports. So I would consider him a likely angler, and I would be careful. Like I said, I don't know him personally. I didn't even know he was around, but he has a bad reputation. He's been banned from Magic several times, and in this interview, he talked about cheating at Magic. So another card game that you play competition for money. So that is a PSA for the community. This guy here, protect yourself. Min the Master style.
Yeah, and looks like there's a 2+2 thrown at him, so that's fairly good.
Exactly. So the other PSA I have is the Bike Casino has been changing their cash chips out, and they are doing the redemption program. So if you have any of the old chips that are not in this picture, you need to go and turn them in before February. If you do not, they are now worthless pieces of clay. They're now souvenirs. So make sure you go and do that. All right. So Bike chip redemption program. Make sure if you have any of the old ones that you turn them in by February. All right. Those are my PSAs for the day. All right, now, the next big thing to talk about, and yeah, this is a big show, that's why we couldn't have any guests, is the LAPC, and it is, as usual, a huge Goliath schedule. And if you recall last year, we were scratching our head quite a bit when we talked about the LAPC schedule, right? That LAPC schedule came out, we went through it, and we're like, hey, this is, and what the heck's going on? And once again, I'm going to have to say I am scratching my head again. Now, last year, We kind of tried to talk to DJ about it. We tried to get some feedback, but he was going through some stuff, and we didn't get a lot of answers. But this year, I don't even know who I would talk to. Jonathan, I guess. But yeah, we have some head scratchers going on. So let's talk about the opening event. Or you know what? Let's start with an overall view of the schedule. Overall, it's very similar to past LAPCs. They have kind of the lower buy-in stuff, a mix of around Chinese New Year. They switch over to mystery bounties. They have a number of bounty events there. They kind of have their 40-40 event again happening, but it's not really called that. It's just called a where'd they hide that guy? It's just kind of called a $400 buy-in. In fact, it kind of looks like it got replaced by an XL bounty when I wasn't looking. Oh no, 40-40 is down here later. Okay, but you know, I saw a tweet by Faraz Jaka, who is intending to come in for our 10K main event over here, which, you know, I kind of have to point out does not have a guarantee. Last year they put a 1 million guarantee on it, which is sort of laughable, right? I mean, a 1 million guarantee on your 10K main event, that just means 100 players, right?
Yeah.
What that means to me, I think last year they put some players in through cash promos, if I recall. Oh, and they also, I think they put some people in with cash promos. That kind of tells me they're not going to do that this year. I feel like they do that to cover some of the riskier guarantees. But I'm surprised, honestly, that Faraz is coming down for a 10K with no guarantees. But what he pointed out was you have this 10K main event, and you don't have any other events around it that really support it. So someone like a Faraz coming into town, if he plays this, he can't come early and really play anything, and he can't really stay if he busts and play anything, because we have the 1K the week beforehand, but in the days leading up to it, there really isn't anything else even approaching a 10K price point. And in the afterwards, it immediately goes from this 10K to this $400 closer. So Faraz doesn't want to play that, right? Like, so to his point, the end of the schedule for LAPC, his point is if you want people to come and travel, if you want people like him to travel and come here, you should really make the area around the main event, you know, maybe the end of February should really switch to more of a not all high roller, but something else, right?
Couple 2500s, a 3K such a basic concept that everybody does all the time. Yeah. And this is what we said last time. It's like when a WSOP comes and they're almost giving you like a blueprint on how to do things. When you look at their schedules, when you look at how they just almost do everything, just kind of copy it, right? Like look at what they do during the WSOP series. They throw a high roller like right there, right after the main. They have some other bigger ones.
Yep, they have the 1K and the 2200 right by the main event, which is 1600 or 17.
I feel like whoever's putting these together is not paying attention. These are very basic things to do for a schedule.
Yeah, and for this schedule, it's kind of exactly what I sort of anticipated, right? I think when we were talking about it coming up, we said, well, there's no TD, there's no tournament director officially. It's going to just be the guys, you know, the folks around. What are they going to do? They're probably going to take an old schedule and more or less jam it into the dates here, right? And this is, you know, to kind of explain things. This is sort of how the LAPC has always done it, as far as I know. I don't know what it was like when this was a WPT, if they had more supporting events. But as far as I know, that 10K always really stuck out like a sore thumb amongst the other events. So there's that. Now, the other piece of it for me is, let's just take a look at this opening event. And I complained about this the second the schedule came out to all of you guys, is look, day 2 for the opening event, $400 buy-in, first of all. So before, I remember the opening event targeted even lower. Typically, the opening event was $250. It's fine. But why is day 2 on Monday? Frank pointed out that Martin Luther King Day this year is being celebrated the following Monday on the 20th. But not on the 13th. So what the heck? Why are we trying to make day 2 the 13th? Well, I don't get it. At a $400 price point, that's targeted at people with jobs like me, right? That's targeted at folks that just want to come and play a lower buy-in tournament or take that multi-day shot. What are we doing with a day 2 on Monday? Now,
and then it's funny, the weekend after they don't do the day 2 on a Monday.
I know, and so that's the other thing. Just like last year, remember, last year we were complaining the day 2s were on seemingly random days. You have to really pay close attention to the schedule to know when the day 2s are, because look, day 2 on Monday, following week, day 2 on Sunday, following week, day 2 on Sunday. Okay, seems all right. But look, if I go here, day 2 on Saturday on February 8th, what the heck? Day 2 on Saturday, what's going on, right? Like, why? I don't know what's happening with these. Like, and you know what else? That day 2 on Saturday, is that the Super Bowl? Is that what's happening that weekend? maybe, but like it's just so confusing. And if you're gonna do that, write Super Bowl on the schedule, right? Like how hard is that? Or maybe write big game because you don't want to get sued. But I don't know, it's crazy. And then the day two here, the 1K day two, the 1K day two is on Monday. Of course, I mean that one. If I was gonna forgive one, that one's a little more forgivable because it's a 1K, it's a million guarantee. But even that one doesn't have to be. I mean, Kevin just ran $1 million tournament with day two on Sunday, right? We don't need, and with a lower buy-in. So
I don't know what they're thinking sometimes. I mean, it's just like such basic. I hate to say this. These are just like such basic things we were talking about forever. Or just like nobody at the Congress listening to us or listening to the rest of the community about this kind of stuff.
yeah,
Odd.
even if they are, it's just they're like, yeah, you're right. Time to cut and paste the schedule from last year. Yep.
I actually think I ran a poll for them. You remember this? Like I
Yeah.
actually like literally did a poll on Twitter for them, and then I did a spreadsheet and I sent the spreadsheet to the execs.
Well, it's probably to Amanda who left, right?
No, it was. I mean, it was like shared anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, she gave it to them.
And maybe we could just pull Jonathan aside and give him a little ask him some questions about what was going on.
I'll let you do that. They don't like me, man. You know why they don't like me is because I'll say stuff like, let me ask you this: what the heck? I mean, Jonathan runs the cash room. What the heck are the rest of them doing? That's what I want to know.
We do have a little bad cop, good cop thing.
Yeah,
going,
I just don't know.
I'll-
Like, tell me what they're actually doing, and then I'll be like, oh no, that was a good idea, or that was a good try. But I just don't see what they're doing. I mean, what is the pro team hasn't done anything in a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't they be doing like shoots and like I thought they were talking about sending them to Europe or something? Shouldn't you be sending Rudy and Luke to Europe or something? I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
right.
Whatever. But the point is, this opening event, a 250K guarantee at a $400 buy-in with 6 day one flights. It's hard to get
Wow.
excited for that. I mean, a $250 buy-in with 250K guarantee, I could see that's exciting, but a $400 buy-in, I mean, later in the series, you're going to run a 40-40 with a $300,000 guarantee. So, I mean, and but that's a $600 buy-in. Like, I don't know, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna play the Gardens on Friday. I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. I do not want it to, especially since if I were to final table the 1K this year, like I did last year, knock on wood, it'd be great. That means I'm taking off all the way through Tuesday to do that, right? That's 2 days I need to take off of work. I'm not taking off day two for a min cash in the 400. I was talking with Jared at the table at the Gardens about the schedule and how annoying it was, and he was under the same impression that you were under, that, oh yeah, but at the Commerce, when you run a low buy-in event, it's 5% cash, it's hard, you're way in the money, it's fine, just day two on Sunday, you'll be coming back in pretty close. And I said, no, that's how the World Series does things.
Yeah, it's a World Series, not the Commerce.
That's not how the Commerce does things. Now, to your point, that's how they maybe should, especially if they want to put their day twos, but they don't. I pulled up the structure. 10% cash, we stop when you hit the money. So you play, you hit the money, you're done, you bag, you take Monday off, and you come back for your $700. And it's like...
It's interesting, like when card rooms do things, sometimes I'm like, oh, I disagree because of this, but here's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like for this, I can't figure out why.
I don't know.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to grab Jonathan and ask.
Yeah, the simplest explanation is what Frank thought was, they thought Martin Luther King Day was celebrated on Monday, and that, I get it, but like you had to have realized at some point, reprint the schedule. No one's booking hotel rooms for your $400. Like not many people are gonna, especially with this day two on not a holiday. So like just change it, quick change it.
Right.
It's too late now, but like 2 weeks ago they could have changed it. It's not like you're changing your 10K. So like that's like the simplest explanation. So then the other thing about this particular schedule is I feel like there's way too many bounty events on it. I don't know. It's weird. Like the second event is an XL bounty. Now the nice thing is they are doing all of their mixed games like usual. So the mixed game community, bravo. I don't play them, and I'm not sure how they feel about the start times, but they seem to be normal. They seem to be like they usually are. So hopefully they're happy about that. Kessler was talking about it, about the series existing, so that's good. But like the second event is this XL bounty, and the guarantee is pretty low again. The third event is the 40-40. Okay. The fourth event is the mystery bounty with only a 100K guarantee.
Yeah.
I still don't understand, why are we running small mystery bounties, guys? Like I just don't really love it. Cabin ran a small mystery bounty, but I think it was a 1 day and it was still 100K or something like that. So I mean, it's a 1 day, that's different. It's a multi-day, it's a 100K guarantee, and it's a mystery bounty. I'm not that excited.
Yeah, like a bounty for like 2,000.
Yeah, right. It's like I spent all these days on it, and not only that, but like there's day ones running all the way from Monday the 27th until February 1st. Like, why is this? It's a $300 buy-in, and they're running day ones for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of day ones for a $300 100K guarantee.
Like a quantum.
7 days of day ones for that. Like, wow. If they don't triple that guarantee, like this is just not a tournament anyone wants to play. But at least day two's on Sunday. All right. So then the event after that. So that's the fourth event. The fifth multi-day event is an XXL bounty. XXL. So the second event, the fourth event, and the fifth event are all bounties. You know, XL bounties and XXL bounties. And the XXL bounty is a 250 guarantee with an 800 buy-in. 800 buy-in. $800 buy-in. That 250 guarantee seems way too low.
You know what? I'm guessing that, like Gardens runs so many XL bounties, and even DJ was running a lot of
DJ
XL
invented them, I think. At least in
so
LA.
I guess it must be really popular with the poker community.
Oh,
right?
I admit that I like XL better than Mystery, but I don't like bounties at all more than normal bounties. But I do like XL better than Mystery. But now they're doing XXL bounty. So I looked at the structure and it's just what it says. So an XL bounty, it's like, they pull out the day two bounties for the XL, 1.5K. So it's probably like 1 in 10 cash, probably $150 the prize pool comes out for bounties, and then you get your 1.5K. XL bounties, the day two bounty is $3,000. So that means $300 of this 800 is coming out for bounties, and it's going to be, it's, yeah. Anyways, so that's 3 of the 5 multi-day events are bounties.
Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And then after that's the Commerce Classic, the one event on the schedule I'm really hyped for. I wish day 2 was on Sunday, but whatever. And then after that is the main event, which I can't play because day 2 is on Monday, day 3 is on Tuesday, day 4 is on Wednesday. There's no guarantee. It's not a freeze out. It's I can't play that. Too many days off, too much, so
yeah. You know what? Any of our listeners out there, if anybody from the Commerce Casino is reaching out to you and getting feedback from you on their schedules or whatever's happening with these type of events and what they're picking and what days they're running stuff, please let us know. I would love to know if anybody at the Commerce is actually out and talking to people in the poker community or just kind of coming up with stuff on their own, because it just seems very odd and sort of against almost all this stuff that we've been kind of beating the drum on for a long time. And we don't beat the drum for ourselves. Like we are beating the drum on what we feel like everybody wants and what people are telling us they want.
Yeah, and if we're wrong, hit us up on Twitter and tell us we're wrong, or get in the comments. I really, we're really curious now. How much do people love XL bounties and the XXL? When I hear people talking, they have a similar thought to me. Is like, for the most part, most people are like, yeah, I like them, I don't love them, right? And for mystery bounties, I don't think I've heard a single person say anything but what I've said is like, yeah, you know what? I love there being a chance to draw a big, huge, fat bounty. Let me draw a 50K bounty.
Right.
But like, if it's a small mystery bounty, it's like, why are we spending all this extra energy and doing all this weird stuff and making it so weird? And then it's like, why? Let's just have a regular tournament, I would rather see them experimenting with Savage Average, see them experimenting with other kinds of structures to the regular thing, right? Like, maybe do an 8-handed event, maybe do a, stuff like that, rather than just like adding bounties and making the bounties bigger, than doing another bounty and then doing another bounty. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of good 1 days on the schedule. Unfortunately, a lot of those 1 days don't have the guarantees they used to have. So that's another head scratcher. So the Sundays during the day, usually during their series, their day 2s are on Sundays, and usually those Sundays have a 1 day. That is still the case. All their day 2s still have 1 days going on the same day, but usually those 1 days have guarantees. And on this schedule, there's no guarantees on them. Typically those 1 days would have like a 30K guarantee on it at least, right?
Right.
Yeah. No guarantees on any of these. Like if you look.
You never see a weekend 1 day without a guarantee anywhere. Yeah, actually,
except here. So maybe it's just not written here, in which case they just marketing. They need to fix that. But I'm pretty sure that they did not put a guarantee on them, it's kind of silly. They're guaranteed to get 110 people in all of them, right? Yeah. So like, just make the guarantee 100 players. Make it 150, and you're not gonna miss. You aren't gonna miss, except maybe on Super Bowl Sunday. But like, this one's the 18th or the 26th rather, event 18, no limit hold'em 400, no guarantee. Over here, event 11, 400 buy-in, no guarantee. So what the heck? I don't understand. That is something they could have copied from the previous schedules. Every time there's a guarantee. So it's interesting. And you know me, I'm not a guarantee guy. I don't think guarantees should be necessary. But like, man, they were always there and they were always so low. Like, why do you take them away? You're just gonna make people even less confident.
I mean, I get, I get that you have the finance people and executives breathing down your necks for the people running tournaments at casinos, right? To make sure that you are not being too overly ambitious with your guarantees and not having to eat extra money and getting in trouble. But it almost just feels like at this point, like the guarantees are no longer like this method to try to drive more business and incrementally increase your prize pools. It's like this thing where they almost just feel like something that they have to do, and they just set it just low enough to be safe.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't know why you're putting guarantees on stuff. Like the purpose of a guarantee is like, put it around a number that you think you're going to hit. And if you end up eating a little bit, it's not a bad thing, right? If you just basically keep honoring these things, don't go too crazy, this is actually how you're going to drive more and more business. And I've actually broken this down before in terms of segmentation. You're after the biggest segment of customers, and those are going to be number one, recreational players, but then players who just don't come and play at your casinos. There are tens of thousands, if not potentially hundreds of thousands of those people in Los Angeles, right? In Southern California and all of California. Whereas, anyways, I feel like I just saying the same stuff over and over again. If that's who you're targeting, you have to set the guarantees higher because that's what's going to make people come out, right? At this point, I feel like the way that people are using guarantees is like incorrect. It's just incorrect.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I feel like maybe it was an accident, but they did something really good over the holidays, right? Over the holidays, they had that 2 or 3 weekends where they ran a 25K guarantee weekly special on Saturday, and it was in direct competition with the bike. It was the exact same chip stack. They had a 50K starting chip stack. The levels were somewhat comparable. The buy-in was actually was it more buy-in I think was the same, and they killed them. And it wasn't even much. They made a 25K guarantee. The bike had a 20K guarantee. They were, during those weekends, they were like 40K prize pool, almost doubling the prize pool, and the bike was barely hitting it, overlaying by the tiniest bit, So they did it. They did it there. So why?
You have the data, and also like you realize that that's not a branded thing. It's just like a daily that nobody's paying attention to. So when you actually are carrying your weekends during something like LAPC, that's when you can go gangbusters. Like this is actually your opportunity to grab a ton of new players because everyone's paying attention.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
And then if you start listening to guys like Faraz, right? You do the 10K, you put a guarantee back on it. You put around it a 2K and a 3K, and you put a guarantee on those. Now people might actually come. They might actually book some stuff, right?
Right.
So.
And I feel like we beat up on the Converse a lot, and I kind of feel bad, but it's just like it's just head scratching.
Yeah, but it's out of love. We're beating up on them, but we want them to be better. We just like.
I mean, we're like whatever, just like after people for just when you're not doing things don't make sense. They seem counter to not only what the community wants, but actually it seems counter to your own growth.
Yeah.
Because your growth is the community's growth. It's our growth. It's poker's growth. A few things make sense to me. I probably just need to grab Jonathan and ask.
Yeah, honestly, if you want, you can ask if he wants to come on and talk about stuff. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
They seem reluctant to come, so maybe we just pull them to the side.
Yeah, whatever. Thank you, Kevin. I see Kevin jumped into on our Twitter or on my Twitter real quick, and he looked it up. I do still have a bigger cash than you by. It looks like you cashed 124 or 7 or 8, right?
I don't remember.
I think it was like that. So I think I still have you by like $2,000. So
God damn it.
Yes. I am so happy for this is just one more reason I'm so happy that I did not chop that event. Like that event, by not chopping, like every time, like this past event, they chopped it and it brought it back down. And it's like, oh, yeah, so now I'm really close to that still. Like Jonah's only got me by a little bit. If he had just won it for like
Yeah.
178, been like, oh, big time. But no, by not chopping that, there's so many benefits to not chopping that out. That's the best decision I made that year. Second best, sorry, second best. I
Yeah,
got married that
it
year.
was. I mean, it was just like yeah, the other final table that I made during the World Series for bracelet event, which is that six max one, the six max online one. Both of these events were very similar in the fact that the short stacks kept doubling when they kept getting it in behind, and it was very, very frustrating. And then I would like run bad and lose a couple of pots, and then I'm just like busting in a place where I didn't feel like I should have busted. But then to like then hear that I just not even realizing it just missed your high score by a little bit, that's super annoying. Yeah, yeah.
All right, game on, man. I'm mad because I was catching you, and then you had to go and spike that and just open up the lead again.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I mean,
right.
in the stuff that we play, where there's so many times where we have like a six figure, top prize. It's I feel like these leads aren't safe.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, all right, cool. Man, we've been at it for a while. Let's get to the weekend, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So, unfortunately, that is not centered well. The weekend. First thing is the wrap up of the Gardens. Let me see if I can get that to move a little bit. It's the wrap up of the Gardens events. So they still have a few events to go, as I mentioned, and the one that I'm looking at is Friday, the winter finale, 11 a.m. Now, I'm not saying that if I bust the 11 a.m. far too early that I won't drive somewhere else, but they do have a nightcap at 4 p.m. as well, so check those out. And then the other main thing is, which we've just been talking about, is that the LAPC starts on Friday as well. So the day ones for their first event start on Friday at 11 a.m. as well. They have a second flight at 4 p.m. And then they have landmark mega satellites at 7. You'll want to look into those and see what they're landmark megaing into. I don't know if they all are just for generic, like some of these places have been giving you kind of like 1K waivers you can just use for any events. The other thing that you can do is if it's into a particular event, I don't know if these are into the main or into the classic or what. So check that out. I will look that up and we'll tell you next week, or we'll look into it. But they have 2 flights of that event all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with day 2 being on Monday. I personally, I don't think I'm gonna play Friday or plan on playing Saturday. I think I will only play Sunday if they are absolutely destroying the guarantee. Like if they're already at 300K by the end of Saturday, then I think I'll go on Sunday because we could potentially be hitting 500K, right? But if they are like, even if it looks like they're going to overlay, they're not going to overlay. People will show up. It's going to hit it like
Anybody that
exactly,
commerce,
you know?
if you haven't rage quit this and you work at the commerce, what Ty just said, I'm going to tell you right now, it represents like all working people.
Yep.
They're going to think the exact same way that Ty just did. It's like, well, I'm not going to make this day 2. How do I make this worth my day 2? Well, I'm probably not going to burn all these different like buy-ins
Yep.
trying to get to this day 2 that I may not play. I'm just going to wait to see if you're blowing out the guarantee. And the way that this is set up, it's not going to blow away the guarantee because you put a day 2 on a Monday.
Yep. Yeah, and
Uh,
I am not saying any of this to be mean to the commerce. I'm telling you, this me as a player. These are my plans. This is how I'm structuring my poker budget for the
yeah,
weekend, right? And
yeah.
now let me tell you this, man, are you missing out? Because for the last 2 or 3 years, I know for the last 2 years, I have averaged 7 or 8 bullets in the opening event of the LAPC. And I don't think
Yeah.
I bagged either one. So, man, you're missing out big time here because I know for a fact that last year I believe was a 250, and I'm pretty sure I fired 8 bullets and got no bag. So, you're missing out on my money. You're missing out on my money big time.
Yeah.
So, uh, and that is how that's going to go for those 2 locales. The bike will still be doing its Saturday and Sunday tournaments with the Saturday 20K guarantee. The Hollywood Park for this weekend, it will be doing, I think, just its kind of regular stuff. It's 8K guarantee Saturday as its 10K bankroll builder, so it's normal stuff. Frank did the legwork. The landmark is for $400 seats and 800 cash. Oh, okay. That's a very small event to be satelliting into, but they do give you 800 cash, so it's basically a survivor, I guess, is what they're running at nights. So, yep, this week at the Hollywood Park, nothing too big. You will want to note that the following week, the MLK Day tournament on Monday at Hollywood Park is pretty decent there. 57K guarantee for a what looks like a $390 buy-in, I guess. So that's going to be pretty good for a one day. And then over at Larry Flint at Lucky Lady, this weekend they just have their regular events, but it does look like on the 26th they'll be having a 20K guarantee. But for this weekend, just their regular assortment of events. They're going to be having the 10K Friday night, the 10K Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon events. They give them names, but they look like the same event. So, and that is pretty much it. I am not sure, but I would expect the Gardens dailies to be starting up again on Saturday as well, since their series ends on Friday. Maybe Kevin will back me up, but I would have to expect that is the case for them as well. So you'll have a lot of choices or I'll have a lot of choices if I do decide to play Saturday for dailies, I guess. All right. Well, that is all we have for you this week. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us. We're happy to be back. We're glad to be around, and we can't wait to see you and play with everybody around LA again. It's been a little bit. We got to get a little bit in there at the Gardens. I can't wait to get to the tables with you all again and have some fun.
Yeah, let's get 2025. Let's make it a big one for everybody.
Absolutely. And just remember, Derek's high score is 124,000. So if you ever score more than that, make sure you bring it up. Give him a little.
If you come and needle me, there's gonna be disaster.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Happy New Year, and we'll see you at the tables.
See you at the tables, everybody.